Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Packer Universe podcast, aka the Pup List. We are a Green Bay Packers fan podcast, bringing you topical and relevant Packers news. Relevant? I don't know. Ren's hat there. What does that say? Super Bowl 31. It's not very relevant, but we will see when we get into the Packers on our most humble, subjective opinion podcast about the Pack. This is episode 287. We're recording this on a Wednesday, September 18th, 2024. Packers win at home against the Colts. Now on to Nashville in week 3 to take on the Titans. Just a reminder, this is a video episode, so if you want to see our mugs, go to YouTube, search Packer Universe Podcast, and you'll find us. So watch it there. Otherwise, keep subscribing to the podcast and come back every week and after the games. I'm your host, Tay, and joining me on video tonight is our one and only
Ren. What up, Tay? Had to show off the hat because you know how I wear hats. It does nobody can see it, so just thought I'd do the unveiling here. But how's Wednesday going, Tay?
It's going great. Life is busy, but once we start the football season, Ren, I feel like the gas gets pushed to the metal. We're already in week 3. It's crazy to me how time flies once we get into football season. I somehow wish we could slow it down a little bit, but I don't know. The Packers had 10 days off between the first and second games. I don't know, our bye week's halfway through the season. So this thing ain't slowing down anytime soon. We got a little bit to talk about, but how's your Wednesday going, Ren?
Not too bad, Tay. I mean, listen, September is a summer month here in Northeast Wisconsin. It's become more and more so over the years. So the weather's been phenomenal. I mean, crazy town. All these pools, they get closed at Labor Day weekend, and it's just like it's hotter than it was in August. It's crazy. But you're right. The NFL season just flies by, and before we know it, everybody's going to be prepping for Thanksgiving Day, and the Dolphins and Packers will be playing on Thanksgiving evening, and it'll be here. And literally, it's going to go that quick. I mean, the next 60 days just flies, and it'll be about, positioning and hopefully being able to get in the playoffs, and hopefully the Packers team, remains fairly healthy at most positions throughout the course of time. But it is crazy. You start to see some of these early season NFL storylines develop, which is interesting. Obviously Sam Bradford, Sam Darnold,
Minnesota.
With the Vikings and him playing so well and the Vikings playing so well, obviously beat the Niners in Minnesota. And you see other things like the Saints, who were just hot garbage last year. They bring in Clint Kubiak, and now they can just drill 40 on anybody through 2 weeks of the season. So it's fun to watch. Those things certainly will change. Obviously on our win-loss schedule, in early December, the Saints come to town. We had that as a dub for the Pack. And I think by that time, the Saints will probably come back to earth, is my guess. And they'll be out of their element anyway. But it is interesting to watch these things go. Of the 3 top rookie quarterbacks playing this year, Caleb Williams, guy out in Washington, and who's another one of the main picks, but none of them have a passing touchdown through 2 weeks. That's your rookie quarterback class drafted in the first round. There's all sorts of different things that are happening. So it's interesting to watch, but a lot's going to change between now and by the time we do get to, the Thanksgiving Day holiday, which is one of my favorites that definitely revolves around the NFL. So looking forward to that. But hey, we're still in the heat dome of September in Northeast Wisconsin. So how you feeling a few days removed from the first take we did on, we definitely didn't lay all the flowers that deserve, but the first take on late Sunday, as I was in Wausau, Wisconsin, we weren't able to do it till about 8:00. But thoughts since that time, and here we are. We'll obviously get to some of the pressers and information there forward, but any additional thoughts on, the great Packer win with Malik Willis at the helm against the Colts on Sunday?
Yeah, I did have a few things after, kind of going back and watching some plays and stuff. One of the things I kind of picked up was just, I mean, to reiterate again, like I think you agree with me. You were called an excellent game for this game, for Willis, for the running game, just that snap motion, and then once once the snap happened, then it was misdirection. It was just it was a clinic put on by Matt LaFleur. So just want to reiterate that it's obvious. But what I noticed out of that was just all the RPOs that were given to Willis. He had the option to run some of those. He stuck mostly with the play to the running back, but he did run it out, and we'll get into one weird one later in a minute. But you know, I wanted him to get the ball out quicker on passing downs, but maybe that'll just come in time. But Malik Willis gives you that option at quarterback to run. And I know Love can do it too. We all know he can run, but I think
maybe not right now, but yes, in the future when healthy.
He's a more pass in the pocket passer type of quarterback. But seeing the success that the RPO had with Willis, it's kind of like is this Matt LaFleur's bread and butter? Like, is this what he really wanted out of a quarterback all along? I don't know. It almost seemed like he dialed up all these awesome, interesting plays centered around RPOs. These run pass options were like a savior for the Packers this past Sunday because they had options. It was misleading the defense. They didn't know who to cover, what to do. I mean, I know there was not film on Willis with the Packers to go up against and try to figure out what this team is about with him at QB. But now that this has happened, I don't know. It just kind of brings up some questions to me, like, does MLF need a more running quarterback, and would they dial up these RPOs when they have Jordan fully healthy, I guess? So do you think going forward, Love is kind of what he always was and what we know him as a pocket passer? Or do you think this kind of running quarterback that we kind of saw out of Willis, and that was designed for him to do, do you think that would kind of, creep into Love's repertoire?
I think it's a great question, Tay. It really is. I mean, I think that Matt obviously had to formulate a game plan around a completely different talent, right? And one, we'll use talent kind of lightly here. I mean, in the sense, like, this guy per game time was there about 3 weeks, trying to coach to his skill set, right? And kind of not dumb down the offense, but put it in a way that obviously the run game was going to be paramount and first and foremost. And they ran the football, as we know, more than they had done in years on years on years. But I think it gave Matt, it was probably fun for him in a sense, not that he wanted to be there, but fun to kind of game plan without the other piece. Now he has to be really creative. And it probably gave him some ideas moving forward in how he can mesh some of these concepts into the game with Jordan and the rest of his playmakers that might have opened up some additional concepts. And I think that part is fantastic. Malik 12 of 14 for like $121 is nice, but you can't say when he was throwing deep down the field, you felt real confident about it. Sure, Romeo Dobbs makes a great grab on one, Tay, but that's Romeo's ball that he makes sure he goes and gets. It's not like you want to run out Malik every week throwing these balls. And that's why you saw a lot of the passes were short to not even intermediate. They were behind the line of scrimmage, right out in front of the line of scrimmage for a majority of those passes. And he hit a couple big ones when he needed to, and they were timely. And again, you have to tip your cap. Certainly I do. I ate my crow on it on Sunday when we talked about Malik. But you're right. I mean, it's really fun to see that Matt had to dig deep into a bag and figure out something to work with this offense with Malik running it and get them a solid victory. And let's not forget, which we did on Sunday. It was apparently the vomit game today. Not only is a ball vomited on, but there are multiple, like 3-4 offensive linemen vomiting once, twice, 3 times coming in and off the field. It was the second hottest game in Lambeau history. It was humid, and it's going to be the same in Tennessee this weekend. It's going to be around 90 at game time
Dang,
on
okay.
noon, and at noon in Tennessee, so in Nashville. So it's going to be another hot one. So hopefully they're going to be well lubricated with the right lubrication. That'd be, i.e., some water and lots of it.
Electrolytes.
Electrolytes, just be ready to go. Plenty of those, bananas in the morning, get that potassium in your system, But man, oh man, yeah, it was what a great game. The running game, surprisingly so, where Tennessee's not even running heavy. The Colts aren't even running heavy boxes at times. You're like, why?
Yeah.
I don't know what you're doing, but you just got scorched 2 weeks in a row with opposing offense's run game. You didn't seem to learn anything. Shame on the Colts for that. They're pretty banged up. Obviously, Buckner's now on IR. They can't stop the run at this point. It kind of harkens back to stuff we've had to talk about for so many years. Like,
Man, with our
does this
run
team have a
defense.
run game issue? And it seems like the Colts definitely do, like we felt in past years with Pettin and Joe Barry. But again, those are kind of my lasting memories. But
Well, Ren,
yeah, I think,
don't move past the puke ball too quickly here. Like,
okay.
so there was one play that you can go back and watch. Josh Myers, kind of yarfs off to the side, but clearly he gets it on the ball. This was, post game interview. It was like, why didn't you? Or yeah, I think LaFleur was asked this. Like, why didn't Malik throw the ball? Or I can't remember who was asked this, but and they're like, well, he puked on the ball, and then you can go back and watch the play. Malik gets it. He kind of like wipes his hand a little bit, and then he just decides to run with it. He doesn't want to throw the ball with puke on it. So then he just decides to run that one. And then I think maybe it was coach asking him, why didn't you throw that ball? And he's like, well, because Josh puked all over it. But and then I think Josh's answer was that, like, I wanted to play through this. I wanted to be out there. I needed to do my job. I wasn't gonna, come out, because I was feeling a little whatever. So props to Josh for doing that. And I just want to point out that I think he's doing a great job this year so far. 71. I mean, he's not grading out well in necessarily run blocking, but I think he did a great job in run blocking against the Colts. And I think in general, like, I don't see an issue right now with Myers. I think we just have this kind of like stigma that Josh isn't the answer. We need to move on from him at center. But right now it's like, I don't know, there's nothing really to complain about, right?
He's not a terrible player today, but he grades average to below average. When you rank him
No
against
sacks allowed this year yet.
right against the best centers in the NFL. So he's kind of like a middling center where they could have done better. We know that what was it? McCready is the guy who went the pick after to Kansas City, who is an all-pro now. So it'll always be one of those things where should have taken the other guy. It is what it is. Josh is an okay player, but the line could be so much better with a better talent there at center. So no, you tip your cap to Josh, and again, the whole unit. Those guys played one hell of a game. I mean, you look at how many yards they had on the ground. We're talking what was it? 261 yards on the ground today. Again, the most since 1983. So quite a performance by that offensive line and any guy running the football that day.
I got two more things quick about it. It deals with this game, but not necessarily specifically. Well, I was watching some 22 film and plays, and a lot of the times when Malik went to throw it, or he went to kind of throw it and then he ran the ball, there were receivers open. And I noticed, I saw number 9, Watson, open a lot. He was right there. Malik could have thrown the ball. But I don't know if it's just me and the way I was looking at this, but I noticed that it wasn't Watson getting the ball. He wasn't throwing it to him. And when he did throw it, it was to Dobbs, Wicks, and I think Reed a couple times. So I don't know if this is a telling situation. It's a one-game sample size. It's a backup quarterback. All bets are off. You can't have tendencies and trends here with this, obviously. But I don't know. It almost was like eye-opening to me, like, wow, Willis isn't even throwing to Watson when he's open. So I don't know. I'm just saying, watch for it. Keep your eye on this. But Watson was running in the backfield too in motion. I don't think he ever got the ball. He got 1 or 2 receptions, but we're not seeing Watson. And I do
Christian
think it's
Watson was 0 receptions for 0 yards,
okay.
zero targets today.
And I don't like that. You know, I'm always a Dobbs guy over a Watson guy. You know that. But I want Watson to be successful because when he's in the game, I want the defense to take notice and to cover this guy. So the deep threat, the fast, wide receiver this guy is supposed to be, and even out of the backfield, we're not seeing that. We're seeing Jaden Reed getting the end arounds. We're seeing him getting the sweeps.
Yep.
I don't know what Watson's bringing to the table anymore, especially when the quarterback's not throwing to him. So I just wanted to tell you and tell the universe that I see this, and I don't know if it's something, but it's something to watch and going, especially when Love comes back. Who's he targeting? Does he have more faith in Willis, Reed, and Dobbs than he does Watson? And what kind of contributions can Watson make to rebound from this sort of thing? So I just wanted to point that out. I don't know if you got anything to say about it or.
No, I think it's just a product of, surprising you don't see him on at least one sweep. That I would say.
It was a fake,
even though they did have him in motion. But guess what? Him in motion is a great decoy too. So that certainly helps the offense. And also when we talk about blocking in the O-line, what they did on Sunday. Listen, those receivers too, they came to play, and the tight ends too, and block, and they all played a huge part in that. So he was a big decoy, but I mean, again, when you throw 14 passes today, it's just not gonna beg a lot of potential for any one of those guys to get work. I mean, nobody's going to probably talk about Bo Melton not getting a reception. I doubt he did in that game either. It's just
he got the end around once. I remember that.
Right, but I'm just saying, like, from a catching standpoint, it is what it is. It's just they were trying to do enough with the time of possession game, with the run game, to put that team in position, to win a football game. I.e., why when asked, in the post-game presser, you got 3 timeouts and what, a buck and change.
Yeah.
Why don't you try to drive the ball? And he's like, well, we're up 10-0. Why are we gonna put that game at risk at this point? We're just gonna basically, take the ball and go into half essentially, and that's it. So, there's a lot of things you can try to look to, but I think again, it's a product of the quarterback you had to play and the game plan you had designed for that day, why things ended up the way they did.
So this game against the Colts was great. Awesome. Total props to MLF and the coaching staff and the players for executing. But that was one game that's done. We got to move on to the next one. That's going to be the Titans. They need a whole new game strategy here. They can't do the same thing because the Titans will be all over it. They need something else. I think they're gonna have to go back into the bag or figure out how to design plays to get the ball to their playmakers, get their playmakers open. So I don't know if you do different formations, more looks at pre-snap motions and all that stuff. But I'm curious to see what Matt LaFleur has in his bag for this upcoming game. Obviously, you got to take what the defense gives you. If you can try the same things you did in the Colts game against the Titans and it works, keep going with it. We got news today. I know you saw it. Love's practicing, and so
good sign on the first practice of the week today, Wednesday practice.
And so he's out there throwing balls. He's out there doing drills. He's out there doing calisthenics or whatever you want to call it. And he's playing. So I got my on it, but what do you make of it?
Well, I mean, per our friend Rob Domofsky even reporting last week, it wasn't a fluke. It wasn't a joke. I mean, he was close-ish to potentially playing on Sunday, and they, made the right decision and said, you're not there yet. I'd say this week it's probably a 50-50, 60-40, 40-60 type of proposition. Yeah. Put those numbers ahead in your. I think it really just depends on how he feels. When he wakes up tomorrow and they hit the practice field again and what that looks like, and they get to Friday and get a good idea that, hey, he can probably be a good go, and maybe they're at 70-80%. Yeah, it's going to be a go. That doesn't mean the offense is going to run the same way we would expect it to with a healthy Jordan Love. Again, you're going to have a different bag of calls just to keep guys off of him, get the ball out quick. Running game's still going to be at a premium. it's going to be similar to what you run with Malik, but the offense is a little bit more wide open, obviously, with Jordan there as your starting quarterback as opposed to Malik Willis. So
there's no RPOs, but just POs, just pass options.
I mean, there could be, again, it'll be interesting again to see what Matt learned. Like, again, not doing it all the time, but what he can intermix, and maybe this game got his creative juices flowing. So who knows, how he's going to set that up and make that look for Jordan in similar circumstances where he's not quite as mobile as he can be. He's going to, if he does go, he's going to have that brace on, which is going to limit him a little bit. So yeah, it's definitely interesting. I mean, super happy to see him out there today. Obviously, some of the other news coming down, with some of the other guys sitting out isn't great with Valentine, and I think Dobbs was out. I want to say Tay. There are a number of guys that sat out today that don't feel great about, and then obviously Marshawn Lloyd. If it's not one thing, it's another with this guy, and now he's on IR. With a designation to return. So I think it's, looking at it now with hindsight, it's a good thing based on how banged up he was, with all these soft tissue things that, hey, now he can just put him on the shelf for 4 weeks, get real right. So you're ready come 4 weeks, against the Texans, and he can go and play the rest of the season healthy. So, but the team for the most part is pretty healthy outside of obviously the left leg of Jordan Love, and it'll just be about how that thing progresses throughout the rest of this week if he's ready to go. And we talked about, I mean, grade 1-2 MCL when you're 25 years old, Tay, is not that big of a deal. It'll be more than 2 weeks removed by the time we get to Sunday, because remember that happened on a Friday night. So,
I'm gonna throw it out there now. He's not playing. I just don't think he is. I think this is all part of that. Like, we're getting him out there. He's close, but they have to clear him. Like the doctors have to clear him. They have to feel confident that he can be safe back there. He's gonna take a pounding. He's gonna get hit. That's a guarantee. So I don't see how we take a chance on this when if he's not 100%. There's no way. I just don't see it. I think this practice today, and then all the the talking heads, the media people, they're all saying, well, that he might, and I hope, and he's not playing. I'm almost positive this is all just that fluff stuff. Try to get the Titans to take the bait. Even if he is close, I still don't see them playing him because of the risk factor, and I don't mind them not playing him. I think they can do another game like the Colts. They can take the Titans on and they can win if they game plan well and everyone executes correctly. And they're capable of that. We saw that in the Colts game. So I don't see them risking it. He's got to be 100%. This guy's got to be at full strength, maximum firepower before he goes on the field again. That's how I feel.
If we went by your thought process there, I mean, he might not play until week 7 then to be at full maximum firepower.
Maybe it takes a loss to get Jordan Love back on the field.
It's just not. Listen, the Packers, they're a conservative organization, but at the same time, Rodgers has played. Came back in that second half of the Bears game in 2018. He had an MCL sprain, by the way, and a patella tendon issue. He got shot up and he was just fine. He rocked a grade 1, grade 2, the rest of the game, and the rest probably the next how many weeks. So
you love to bring that up. You're like a bad hemorrhoid. You keep bringing that one up.
Of course you're going to bring it up because it happened. It was a thing, and he played with it right away. Brett Favre, this guy took smelling salts on the sidelines. had his thumb look like it was who knows what, and didn't miss a game for how many years, and probably should have missed some. So, there's always going to be that risk element to the game of football.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen today in this day and age. They just gave him a $200 million plus contract. There's no way. There's no way it's happening.
I don't know, man. I think this is definitely a 50-50 proposition. And again, if he continues to practice and he moves forward, I really think there's a good possibility that the right game plan for him to go, and they just get the ball out quick and let the receivers cook. Let the running game cook. Again, you can do this thing, and it doesn't have to be. And again, you look at Malik, sure, nice game, 12-14, but that's not going to get it done, Tay. These teams are going to start picking on you. This Titans team lost 2 weeks in a row to a score of 24-17, and they're desperate for a win in their home place. Personally, I'm bringing everything I can to the table. I don't care if it's conference or non-conference to get a W, because 2-1 is a hell of a lot better than 1-2. And if it's within the realm of possibility that Jordan can play, and it was already last weekend, I'm going to play him.
You said Marshawn Lloyd's on IR, and that is the case. And they brought up Chris Brooks from the practice squad. I expect probably all three of them to be getting runs. I liked that in the Colts game. I like them bringing those other running backs in. I think they could do it more. I think at some point I was like, all right, like let's not give Jacobs everything here in the fourth quarter. Like although the game was pretty close still, I wanted to see more of that later in the game, but maybe we'll see that with Brooks. Give Brooks a chance. I think in the X timeline today, our friend of the podcast, Wendell Ferreira, posted a run by Chris Brooks, and it was just dominating. Like, so he was like, "Yep, this is the guy that they just brought to the 53-man roster." Yeah, remember this, and I can remember that play being shown when he did originally sign to the practice squad. But yeah, I'm excited. I hope this guy works out. And it's a a bit of a break option for Jacobs, and I hope they stick with the run game like they did. You got to wear them out. We wore that Eagles defense out in week 1. They were gassed, but they just had gotten the ball before we did, and had that 8-minute drive it felt like in the fourth quarter to win that game. But running game, man, running game. Even if it's Jordan Love, with that bum knee, that sprained MCL or that bruised MCL, you got to lean on that running game a little bit.
Big time. The running game is still going to be massively important. And sure, Brooks can come in and get a few carries, and hey, maybe he's our next Sam Congato. We don't know that today, but
yes,
just throw one out there. But running back is probably the only position that you can bring in, even a guy who is a street free agent and potentially can, get you a good game. So a lot of strange things like that happen in the NFL. So, but obviously Jacobs is a hammer. He's proved it so far. That is the one thing he has over Aaron Jones, who is also now questionable this week after 2 weeks in the NFL season. It is, and let me tell you, I lay flowers at the feet of one Aaron Jones. I'm a fan, but that's always been the issue with the durability piece, where Josh Jacobs seems to bring that hammer to the table, which we got to be thankful for that.
Would you like to move on to the Titans, or do you got anything else to dabble in before we get on to?
Not really, man. It'll be interesting. It's just we're kind of in this hiatus piece with the Packers, and you just don't quite know what to expect week to week. So it's really hard to game plan the offense, especially. And that's also the same thing on, the opponent's side of things. Like, what are the Packers going to look like? And for us, it's like, what is LaFleur planning with Malik or with Jordan? Or maybe they dress Jordan and Malik starts, and, they just have him dressed in case and lets Malik handle it. I can see something like that happening, but it's going to be interesting. And we're going to kind of live in that, the offense is not going to look prolific from a passing standpoint while Malik is in there as a starting quarterback.
Yeah, so that's true. Well, on to the Titans then. Down in Nashville for week 3. It's a away game. The Titans haven't played well. They're kind of like, underperforming.
Mm-hmm.
They're 0-2. Those games have been riddled by mistakes by them, like block punts, fumbles. They've had leads in both of the games, and then they end up losing. They have a young quarterback in Levis. They have a new head coach this year, Brian Callahan, and they have some playmakers and stuff, but most of it kind of been mediocre at best for the season so far. They have a great linebacker in Harold Landry. That could pose a problem, but its offense really is somewhat inept right now. So let's hope that this remains this way for when the Packers arrive into town. But my worry is that, they're due to correct some of this stuff. Some of these mistakes will be turned around, and I'm just the pessimist in me says this is a ripe for a get right game for the Titans. They could snatch the win, against the Packers if we're unprepared or if we're just overconfident. So that's my worry here. Titans kind of seem like they don't know who they are yet. They can't figure themselves out, and they're kind of in a corner. 0-2, not a good place for an opponent that is at home. And I just worry a little bit about that. Don't want the Packers to give another team a get right game, which they do at least 2 times a year, I swear, in some regards. So that's my preface about the Titans. So yeah, what do you got on them, and where are your points of interest, Ren?
Obviously that's a concern. It's at their place. So do you know the line right off the top of your head?
No, I don't. I'd guess the Packers probably. I bet you it's 3. It's 3 to the Titans at home. It's probably so even, I guess. That's my guess.
They're actually getting 2.5.
Okay.
So not quite the home cooking 3, but pretty close. So Vegas is kind of like, well, what do we got here? I don't know. We got two teams that are kind of like, one's probably missing their starting quarterback, the other's not played so great. A lot of boneheaded mistakes by the quarterback. That being Will Levis through the first 2 weeks. One of the worst interceptions, people called it in week 1 against the Bears, and one of the worst fumbles last week against the Jets from a starting quarterback that you can see. So he has not played well. He's more of your prototypical, pocket passer. He's not somebody they have to, like they have the last 2 weeks with these mobile quarterbacks and try to keep them, pinned down. They're going to, they're edge rushers. Rashawn Gary has not done much through the first 2 weeks, nor have any of the Green Bay Packers edge rushers, Preston Smith. Van Ness has had a few plays here and there, but they're going to have the ability to pin their ears back and get after it. This is, I think they were the worst or second worst offensive line last year in the NFL. It's not gotten a lot better for them today. Currently through two games, they are the 26th ranked offensive line in the NFL. So you can cook. Now, if they don't come out, we were saying this right now, then suddenly there will be 0 sacks. And listen, the universe will be up in arms, as they should be, because this is an awful, awful O-line. Nicholas Petit-Frere, he is literally the last ranked right tackle in the NFL. So that's where Gary's going to be coming from, Tay. Good luck to Nicholas, I gotta tell you. So that part's certainly, a benefit to the Packers. You look for those kind of pressures, those QB hits, and potential turnovers. I mean, that's another thing to point out with the Packers. Those 5 turnovers, we talked about a little bit on the first takeaway against the Colts. But, yeah, 5 interceptions already on the season. Had only 7 last year, was second fewest in the NFL. I mean, they could hit their mark this week, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do already in week 3 where they were all last year. And that was something Halfley cued on through, the off season, through minicamp, through training camp, etc. Was they need to get their hands on balls and you take them away. And, that stuff flips fields. As far as the Titans are concerned, they're up front. Their D-line, Tay, you got Jeffrey Simmons, who is that's a man amongst men, dude. This guy he is the real deal. You want to point to, one of the better players in the NFL, maybe that because we don't have them as a common opponent in the AFC. This guy, hey, watch Jeffrey Simmons. This is one hell of an NFL player. They also have their second-round pick, Tavondre Sweat, another massive mountain of a man inside. You mentioned the aforementioned Harold Landry, already 3 sacks in the season, Tay. Last 2 years, he's had 12 and 10.5 respectively. He gets after it. Kind of a remade wide receiving core there with Calvin Ridley. Still the old vet DeAndre Hopkins is still there, and the old Bengal Tyler Boyd is in Tennessee. I think Tony Pollard's been a nice addition to the backfield there. I think he's done really well. He's got 144 yards through 2 games, so solid running game. They split a little time with him, and I forget off the top of my head the other running back. If you want to insert said name, I can't think of it at the moment. But this is, Tay, at the moment through 2 weeks, the number one passing defense in the NFL, allowing only 114 yards a game passing. So they've been very good. They brought in L'Jarius Sneed, who the Kansas City Chiefs traded. Another guy I think used to be the Cowboys, Chidobe Awuzie, is in that backfield. But the best guy for them so far, four tackles for losses, is Roger McCreary, also in that backfield. They've had a really, really good start to the season defending the pass. So very, very good up front, very good back end of the defense. This is a good defense today. This is not something you're just going to get away with stuff and, run the ball 30 plus times and have the success they had last week against the Colts, who are not very good against the run. So
the running back you were trying to come up with is Tyjae Spears.
Yeah.
He's injured too. I don't think he's going to play.
Yeah. So again, it's been mostly Pollard, but I know they were splitting some time there for a bit. But this team can beat you. And again, I think the defense is pretty underrated at this point. They just unfortunately haven't had the offense to spell the good work that defense has done through a couple of games. And again, with some boneheaded moves by Will Levis at quarterback, that's how you lose football games. And it's hard to do anything once you're 0-3 in the league, Tay. And so they know that they're up against it, and they got to get a dub at home, give the fans some home cooking. So the Packers, regardless who the quarterback is, are going to have their hands full.
All right, well, let's do it then. You can give me two scores if you want, one with Malik Willis, one with Jordan Love. But what do you think the score will be? And will the Packers win?
If it's Malik, I'd say it's 13 to 20. Titans win.
Ooh, okay.
Loss with Jordan. I'm going to go, let's say 24-14 Packers.
Win. Okay, interesting. I think the Packers win this one regardless of who's quarterback. I think it's a little tight though. So I'm just going to go, I'm going to go 20-17 Packers win. I just I have a feeling that regardless of the quarterback situation, the defense will come out strong here. We may even score on defense, but I think that keeps the score down under 20 for the Titans, which is doable. We did that a lot last year.
You think it's a timely Braden Arvison field goal, Tay, that gets them the dub?
That was the last topic of this podcast tonight, and it's a good time, a better time than any right now. I mean, when do you make an issue of this? When do you, if you're Brian Gutekunst, say, okay, we got to do something else? Like, does he? Is it the next miss, or is it the next 2-3 misses? Is it potential game-winning field goal that he misses? That's when you change it. But when does Ren, the GM, change kickers?
I mean, you can't just jump off of it right away. You jumped into it anyway. I would say week 6, if you're still seeing things by then that he's missing a kick every week, you got to really start reevaluating and thinking about what you're going to do with the position. Unfortunate. I mean, when he hits him, he hits him. He's got a good, strong leg. No issues there. Anders, you're always didn't matter what the kick was, 30, 50. You're just is it go? It is at. I'm not sure. And you just it went through. All right. And on the flip side, everybody's talked this week too. Let's also not be remiss to talk about how dominant and how they've found the punter for years to come in Danny Wheelantay. This guy's flipping fields and he is banging it. He's putting it right in the right spots to pin teams back. It's been huge, and that's what you need on your punter, man. When you're backed up and you could bang one and you get inside the 20, you just flip the field, man. And it is wholly important to your defense, to the whole thing, how this thing sets up. So, kudos to Danny. He's been fantastic. So while they don't know what's going on at kicker. A year ago, and for many years, from the Corey Bojorquez's of the world and our other guy, the draft pick, J.K. Scott, and everybody else, like, geez, they found one, Tay. They don't have to think about punter, which is great. Yep. And very important. It's kind of like your kicker that's defense, right? That's your defense, and he's been awesome. More than we could have, asked for, and they got one there. So hopefully Braden will kind of shake it out. We know he's got the right attitude for it. I think better than Anders, but it'll be interesting to see how his right leg takes him over the next, probably, I'd give him 3 weeks and go from there.
Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I have more confidence in Narveson than I did than Anders. So I'm willing to give have a little longer leash here. He had the doink, miss, and it's like that if that doink goes an inch to the left, it's in, and so like those are close. A miss is a miss.
Yeah, but you don't want to doink them either. That means you're still missing, and you got to bang them. You got to bang them, man. You got to listen. 45-yard field goals, Tay. You got to smash them and be done.
So I'm with you. I think if you start maybe the next miss, and if it's every game, okay, we got to do something about this.
Yeah, you're missing. He misses one this week, and then next week you're like, he's missed one every game. It's not going to be. It's going to get loud real fast for him.
That was one of our biggest beefs with Anders. And now Anders Carlson missed point afters. So like that's a huge issue. If Narveson started missing those, I would freak out. But this is one position that I don't mind if they would just go out and get a vet that I mean, I don't know who's out there. So let me preface that. But I'm not like and then this goes back to the Mason Crosby thing. I don't want to go cheap. I don't want to go young.
Stop bringing that man's name up. Malik got that number 2, Tay. Malik got the number 2. Don't bring up Mason's name ever again.
If you can go out and get a vet that's more consistent, do it. Let's bring it in. Like, let's go. Greg Joseph got signed to the Giants, I think.
That's correct. Graham Gano went on IR for them. Yeah.
And so it's like I think longer leash right now for Braden, but sometimes you gotta choke that up a little bit, and he's got the right attitude, like you said, but at some point you do have to worry about it, and so we'll see. So cross your fingers that he makes them all. But he kicked 4, he missed 1 out of 4 last game, so I don't know.
I don't like this. I can tell you that one with about 4 minutes to go, that was the game was probably sealed there, Tay. It would have been 19 to 3. So that was a bad look, Tay. Not a good look.
All right, let's get out of here. Noon kickoff in Nashville. Packers go down to take on the Titans. So let's enjoy it. We don't know what's going to happen with the quarterback situation. It might be Love. I don't think it will be, but it might be Malik. Hopefully MLF dials up a great, interesting scheme, system, play calling for this game. Hope that will work. So yeah, it's exciting. It's interesting and exciting what the Packers can do here, because they did it last week. Our expectations are a little higher. So, if they come away with a loss, what does that do? Obviously, we'll talk about it next week. But Ren, thanks for joining me. And as always, thank you for our listeners and our watchers. If you haven't yet, subscribe, please, and go follow us on social media. Visit our website, packeruniverse.com. Ren, thanks again.
Yeah, always good chatting a little pack with you, Tay. Until episode 288 on the pup list.